Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So, it's been a little while, but we are back with another build video. This time focusing on Solar 3.0, the new subclass update in Season of the Haunted. And it's pretty awesome. A lot of people have been saying it's lackluster in comparison to Void 3.0, but when you get some really nice builds going, the subclass is great for all three characters. But we're going to be starting on Warlock, and we're going to be starting with a pretty simple one, an old school classic build that's just basically been enhanced with the new changes to Solar. But the premise of it is basically the same, so a lot of people will probably be quite familiar with this, but to those who have not experienced this and are new to the game, this one's a good one, so you'll want to stick around. So, first off, the exotic we're going to be focusing on is the Sunbracers. This is a phenomenal exotic in D2. It was great in D1 as well. You had an extra solar charge, but in this game, in D2, instead of getting an extra solar charge, if you get a melee kill, a solar melee kill, so it has to be an actual energy, melee charge kill, you get infinite grenades for about 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds to activate the perk after you get the melee kill, and then once you've activated it, you have 5 seconds to dump the grenades. Similar to how D1 Radiant super was on Warlock with Sunsinger. When you pop that super, you had infinite abilities until your super ran out. So, before I get into the subclass, I want to go through a few of the mods, and a few of the mods that I believe would be necessary to make this build really excel. And then also the stats you'll want to kind of go for. The weapons in this build are pretty irrelevant. You can use whatever you want. I'm using this new trace rifle. I love this thing. I want to get it crafted, so I'm just using it to get the hang of it. Deliverance, it's just whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you use. You can use whatever loadout you want. That part's up to you. But for the mods, generally you just want stuff that benefit yourself in general. So I have reserves and stuff. But then you want stuff like explosive Wellmaker. We're going to be throwing a lot of grenades. You can use elemental ordnance, but explosive Wellmaker works with the Scorch and ignition explosions as well as the grenade, and the grenade that we are using, the solar grenade, will activate Scorch and ignition. So not only will the grenade make wells because of explosive Wellmaker, but so will the ignition on detonation if it kills something as well. On top of that, my rocket launcher, Galahorn, will also create wells, and the chill clip on my deliverance, the explosion from that, if it somehow kills something, will also create wells. So I have a lot of ways of creating wells for myself, and if you're using a similar setup, you can too. Then to accompany this, we have Well of Life. Well of Life is a phenomenal mod. Picking up a solar well gives you health, pretty much. Gives you regeneration. It's like small ticks for 10 seconds base. If you use elemental time dilation with 2 of these, it goes to 16, and so on. It's a very good mod, so I highly recommend using this because the way we're going to be using this build, it's actually pretty difficult to heal ourselves. There is going to be a way to heal ourselves on demand, but outside of that, there isn't really any way to do it, so this is a very nice mod. Then I also have Well of Ordnance. This is not necessary. I have this in here because I have no more slots because of the way I've got my actual general armor mod slots set up. Because of the stats that I've gone for and the way I've handled it with my armor, I can't really get much mod freedom outside of the main big mods that I'm going to show. This is the outlier in this. This is the one that you could have whatever you want in. Doesn't have to be Well of Ordnance. You'd have whatever you want here. So, yeah, just do whatever you want there. Go ham. It's up to you. I have Radiant Light for stats. That's irrelevant outside of that. And then finally I have Font of Might. This is perfect because it's going to give Galahorn a 25% damage buff. And we will be using the Radiant buff on the subclass as well. So that's another 25%. So that's a 50% damage buff to Galahorn. Pretty much at all times, considering how easy it is to proc Radiant in our case, which we'll get to later. And also how easy it is to make wells. So, of course, Font of Might in that case is going to be very easy to proc, which means we'll almost always have a 50% damage buff for Galahorn and a 25% damage buff for our other weapons that are not solar, which is great. So that's like all the mods out the way. That's the general gist of what we're running. Now, stats. Moby is a decent stat, because we are going to be using stuff that sort of focuses around Moby, but you don't really need it. It's not necessary. Resilience is also not necessary per se, but it is extremely valuable now. If you can get tier 10 resilience and still maintain a few of the stats we have in here, that is phenomenal. If you can do that, go for it. Go for 100 resilience. You get a 40% damage reduction, or DR. Well, that is just damage reduction for your character against combatants, any combatants as well. It's just anything. Everything does 40% less damage at tier 10 resilience. That's better than pre-nerf protective light. And you just get it for free, just for having 100 resilience. It's amazing. So if you can spec into that, go for it. Otherwise, it's not a big deal. It's just like, do whatever, right? Then we have Recov. I love having Recov because it affects my Rift on a Warlock. And your class ability is going to be quite valuable for this build, so I do highly recommend getting 100 Recov. You also get faster regen, which is great, right? So yeah, 100% get this because of the class ability. Otherwise, it's fair game. Discipline is completely useless on this setup, so I do not recommend speccing into this because obviously we just need a melee kill and then we get infinite grenades anyway, right, for the 5 seconds. So you don't need Discipline because of how easy it is to just get a grenade for free. So that's relevant. Then Intellect I've gone for because of the way my armor's set up. I don't really have resilience sets yet, so I've just gone for Intellect to basically give people wells. Dawnblade without Dawn Chorus, or Daybreak without Dawn Chorus, I should say, is not good. It's actually just trash. It's not worth running Daybreak unless you have Dawn Chorus. We're not running Dawn Chorus in this build, of course, so I've just gone with Well, and I'm just going to plant it somewhere while I go off and fly around and do my thing, right? So that's that. And then we have Strength, which is the most valuable stat out of everything to get in here, because we want as much melees as possible. And we also have a very valuable component in the build on the subclass that's going to get us our melees back incredibly quickly anyway. So the Strength just adds to that. It just makes it faster and faster, especially if we somehow can't get melees back quick with the component that we have. So yeah, Strength is just like an easy boom boom, get it in there. But yeah, aside from those, highly recommend Resilience, Recov, Strength, Intellect if you like spamming your super in many cases. Discipline's useless, Moby can be okay, but that's all stats out of the way, it's all the mods out of the way, and the weapons. Let's get into the real juicy part, the actual subclass. First off, we are going to be using Phoenix Dive. The reason for this is because when we have Heat Rises on, and just using it in general, it will apply Scorch, and it will give us Restoration. It will give us health. I actually just realized that it only gives Restoration with Heat Rises. So aside from that, you're only going to get Cure. But that's okay, because we are using Heat Rises. Now, Heat Rises is the most valuable part of this entire build, so you 100% want this, because getting kills while airborne, even without Heat Rises actually active, so, you know, you consume your grenade, you get Heat Rises, you don't actually need to do that for this part to work, but just killing enemies while in the air will give you melee energy. Gives you like 25% per kill, maybe more. I'm pretty sure it's 25% though, so you need about 4 kills, roughly, to get an entire melee back, which means you get 4 kills while in the air, you throw your melee, and you have infinite grenades for 5 seconds. And because we're using Heat Rises, you can consume a grenade to fly around in the air, you chuck all the grenades with Sunbracers, and then as they're killing enemies, you get another melee back for free. So then you throw another melee at an enemy after that, and you got 5 seconds of infinite grenades again. And now you have a melee. You throw your melee, 5 seconds of infinite grenades. You got your melee back. It's just infinite chain of melee and grenades, and it's awesome. And all you have to do is just be in the air, which is perfect, because Heat Rises keeps you in the air for ages. And then also, of course, we have Phoenix Dive as our way of healing, in this case, and applying Scorch to more enemies. Scorch is just a very valuable thing to have, but it also means you can get to the ground very easily. Because the thing with Heat Rises is that you're kind of stuck in the air. It takes a long time to come down, even when you cancel your jump. So Phoenix Dive just makes it easy to get to the ground and pick up those wells that we're dropping, right? So you can get Fontomite and Well of Life, and then after you pick those up, you can just jump back up in the air and continue the chain. Now we also have a new aspect, Touch of Flame, which is basically going to enhance our solar grenades that we're throwing with Sunbracers, and it's going to drop lava around the grenade. It's just going to like shoot lava out like a volcano. It's just going to shoot little bits of lava around the grenade. Each and every grenade that you throw from Sunbracers is going to do that, and it also increases the duration that the grenade is there. Sunbracers does that by itself, and it does stack, so the grenade will last even longer than the base Sunbracers duration, which is incredible. From Fragments, the first two being optional, they are based on Radiant, which is the damage buff. It's the thing that comes from Well of Radiance, right? It's the 25% damage buff that you can get. Now, the first one we have here, Ember Torches, means that when I get a melee hit, which we're going to be doing a lot of, we give ourselves and anyone around me Radiant. This is basically just to buff our weapons in the meantime while we're flying around throwing grenades. You know, I've got Galahorn. I'm basically just a walking or a flying AC-130 with Galahorn buffed up, flying, throwing grenades. It's pretty awesome. The second one I have is just Radiant and Restoration lasts longer. Of course, we have loads of Radiant with all the melees. We have Restoration from the Heat Rise's Phoenix Dive. So those last longer. But these are optional. You don't have to use these. Then we have this. This I would recommend having in here permanently. Don't take this out. I wouldn't say this is an optional one. What this does is it will increase the area of effect, so the AoE, of the grenade. Solar Ignitions, it's pretty much just your grenade, right? So the solar grenade already has a massive radius by itself. Then we have made it linger so much longer with Sunbracers and Touch of Flame, and now it also has a bigger AoE on top of that, which it's going to spew out the fire, the lava in as well. It's just incredible. The grenades have turned into just nuclear bombs. It's really nice. And then we have, you apply more Scorch stacks to targets, Ember Ashes. For some reason this isn't on the other classes, but that doesn't matter because this build is focusing on only Warlocks, so you will have this. And what this does is exactly what it says. You apply more Scorch stacks, which will eventually cause ignition, and that will explode them. And causing more stacks immediately means they ignite faster and explode faster. The solar grenade by itself applies Scorch, and of course, our main source of damage and add clear and everything with all of this combined is the grenade with Sunbracers. So there's going to be a lot of explosions because we're applying tons of stacks immediately. There's loads of grenades everywhere. There's lava spewing out everywhere. Everything's dying. Everything's exploding. You're Phoenix diving down to pick up the wells. You're flying back up. You've got perma health basically because you've got Well of Life and you got Phoenix Dive Restoration and Cure. And it's just incredible. That is the build. That's pretty much it. I'm going to show some gameplay now of the setup. You can just copy all this. If you're wondering why I'm using Strafe Glide, when you have Heat Rises, this is a faster glide. And with this setup, you're pretty much going to have permanent Heat Rises. So anytime you do eventually hit the ground and you want to just jump out of the way or you want to, you know, speed off, this is the glide to do it with. If you use Burst Glide, sorry, you know, the regular good Warlock jump, you go extremely slow with Heat Rises, so I highly recommend using Strafe Glide. So yeah, let me know what you think. I'm going to show some gameplay now of just how it rolls, and yeah, hopefully you enjoy. Adios.